An orange and grey-tinged skyline hangs over Northern California as fast-moving wildfires continue to plague the Golden State. Another blaze erupted on Saturday, leaving 4 firefighters with second-degree burns. Thousands have fled their homes as flames spread rapidly across more than 10,000 hectares. The cause is still being investigated. One blaze, named the Valley Fire, broke out in Lake County, 160 kilometers north of San Francisco, and enveloped tinder-dry areas parched from years of drought. The so-called Butte Fire, 100 kilometers southeast of Sacramento, has destroyed at least 86 homes and 51 outbuildings. Flames from a larger Sierra Nevada blaze, dubbed the Rough Fire in central California, speeded north towards McKenzie Ridge, where firefighters continued to strengthen containment lines on Saturday.
Yeah, grew up here, was able to walk to school from here. Many friends lived close by. Everybody that's moved away is still connected to this town. And there's a lot of good people here, but it's a ghost town now. It's really eerie. It's devastating, but you just can't look at that. You got to look at everybody's loss. It's never going to be about one person. It's about everybody. I go to my brother-in-law's house, my niece's house, and there's nothing, ashes.
So the city of Chicago is seeing yet another spike in violence over the weekend. 49 people were shot, 8 of those victims killed. Victims, including children in Chicago, that we never hear about. 49 people shot this weekend, 8 died, not a peep out of the president, his own hometown. Why?
Sean, those numbers are staggering. If you think about it, violence now in the city of Chicago is an epidemic. If 8 people died and 46 were injured, when a tornado were to sweep through Chicago, a state of emergency would be declared, resources would be brought in, probably the National Guard called out. But in this instance, all we get from Rahm Emanuel, the mayor, who is a Obama protege, we get a shoulder shrug. We get the head in the sand from the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department. He's been nothing more than a mouthpiece for Michael Bloomberg's assault on the Second Amendment. And from the President of the United States, the same. What it proves to me, I think this is Exhibit A, Sean, in the case that to these individuals, black lives do not matter.
Boy, that's a powerful statement. Add to that now, police, post Michael Brown and Darren Wilson and post Baltimore, they're afraid. They don't want to do their job. Is that contributing to the dramatic spike in a lot of big cities?
It has a lot to do with it. There's a lot going on, and not only in Chicago, but we see it in Baltimore. We see it in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, my hometown. It's a combination of things. One of the things that has gone on, that it's a new dimension, it's this assault on the American police officer, this war on police. There aren't too many guns on the streets of the city of Chicago. There are too many felons, career criminals that are armed. The law-abiding people are not.
North Korea has been promising it would restart operations at its key nuclear facility at Yongbyon, and now it says that complex is operating normally. Now, this is a site that includes a uranium enrichment plant and a plutonium production reactor. North Korea says it is developing nuclear weapons to protect against what it calls U.S. hostility, and this is the threat it issued through its state news agency. If the U.S. and other hostile forces persistently seek their reckless hostile policy towards the DPRK or North Korea and behave mischievously, the DPRK is fully ready to cope with them with nuclear weapons at any time. Now, analysts have been studying satellite imagery of the facility, and some have questioned whether it is as operational as North Korea says. But the head of U.S. National Intelligence, James Clapper, said earlier this year that North Korea is following through on its plans to expand the facility. Now, at the same time, North Korea says it is in the final stages of developing a new satellite. And any satellite launch would be widely seen as a test of ballistic missile technology, the kind of technology that may allow North Korea to deliver the nuclear weapons it says it is developing. Now, the U.S. ambassador to South Korea, Mark Lippert, told me that the United States is prepared for any threat from North Korea.
Oh my goodness, it's huge. Get bigger!
The Zion floods came on the same day that a massive flood swept away several vehicles about 20 miles to the south near the Utah-Arizona border. 3 women and 13 children were trapped in 2 vehicles that were caught in the deluge. At least 12 people died.
Oh, and the van! Oh dear, there's 2 vehicles! Oh no, there's 2 vehicles!
A nearby resident videotaped the flood carrying a van, an SUV, and a car near her home. Police have not confirmed if any flood victims were inside the vehicles.
It's heart-wrenching because I have children, my mother, and it's just hard.
Flash floods are not unusual in southern Utah. However, the National Weather Service calls Monday's disaster a 100-year event.
It was one of the strongest earthquakes ever measured, and security cameras captured its 90 terrifying seconds. It struck in the middle of the night. Chileans struggled to get out of buildings, some in just their pajamas. At dawn, the extent of the devastation came into focus. In Concepcion, Chile's second-largest city, 70 miles from the epicenter, the earth opened up, tearing apart asphalt and even buildings, toppling bridges, and tossing cars from an overpass.
For a second straight year, a drought has devastated this part of Guatemala, one of the driest regions in this Central American nation.
This rural Guatemalan community depends entirely on the rainfall to produce its main food crop, corn. But as you can see, not a drop has fallen in recent months, and the effects on the crop itself are plain to see.
All right, off the rails. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavino, and you're looking at, a market that just went off the rails. Take a look at this. The Dow Jones Industrial is careening about 300 points. This the day after the Federal Reserve did not hike interest rates. And you would think that would be a relief to the markets, but these markets, paranoid as they are these days, are immediately interpreting that as, what did these guys see that we didn't and that we continue not to see? Anything stock or stock related hit hard today. All the major market averages, beginning with the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ, all lost considerable ground today. Not only down on the week, but certainly and substantially down on the month. And this was a widespread development, folks. It is confusing, it is messy, and to add now global insult to injury, talk that Russian warplanes and troops might be on their way to Syria, well, that just greased the skids.